What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to a brand new week here on Anfield Agenda. This is the evening news roundup, and I'm going to take you through the developing news around AMORIM being sacked by United and what that could mean for Liverpool, if anything. We'll be hearing from Virgil van Dijk and his thoughts after the game against Fulham, as well as, of course, the game coming up against Arsenal. We'll have some news on Federico Chiesa as Juventus show an interest in signing him, and the battle for Mark A. Well, that looks like it's getting interesting, and the price tag, well, it's becoming quite simply ludicrous. That and lots more to come over the next few minutes. I will be live here tonight at 8:45 for the late night agenda. I hope you can come and join me because I think you'll agree we have lots to discuss. But until then, let's get cracking with the news. So I guess I want to start off with the news that Ruben Amorim was fired by Manchester United this morning, and it follows hot on the heels of Enzo Maresca and Chelsea parting ways. Now, I started to read a few things around the Liverpool side of this today, and it almost feels like some people say this with glee. Liverpool aren't a firing club. Like we get some type of bonus points or an attaboy badge for that. Other clubs hold managers to account. Ruben Amorim lost the Europa League final. Ruben Amorim has come into a mess at Manchester United, and I'm not saying he made it any better, but they're not exactly miles behind us in the Premier League. And remember, we're the defending champions. So if and when our club act, I hope they do so, well, I hope they do so convincingly, I hope they do so soon, and I hope they do so because quite simply I and many other Liverpool fans have had enough of this style of football under Arne, and it's not going to get much better in my view. So do let me know what you think on the sacking of Amorim, the situation with Maresca, and whether you think Liverpool are right to hang off. Other clubs seem it's okay to bring in an interim manager. Manchester United bringing in Darren Fletcher. Enzo Maresca will be replaced, it looks like, by Liam Senior from within their own brand of clubs. He's coming from Strasbourg. But with Liverpool, well, your guess is as good as mine. I've had messages from people from as far away as the other side of the Atlantic saying, I've heard today that Liverpool are going to sack Arne. Have you heard anything on that? Nope, I haven't. Other than what I told you guys the other day, my information is that he won't be Liverpool manager past the end of the season, but I can't sit here and tell you I know of an impending firing. I don't. Others may have that information. It may come out over the next while, but it's not something that I've personally heard, so I can only stick to what I know. So let's move on now to talk about Virgil van Dijk and his thoughts on the game yesterday. He said it was a good second half. We did everything in our power to win the game, especially in the second half. Obviously, it was difficult and it was always going to be difficult. The games we had played here is always difficult, but it feels a bit disappointing that we conceded a worldie towards the end. That's the reality. It's part of the reality, Virgil. It is a difficult place to go. I will always give you that one. It was a worldie, but could we have done something more? Well, I, many others, and certainly the people on Match of the Day last night felt like we could have. Liverpool set up to defend a long throw-in that didn't happen. And there was a couple of moments between the throw-in, a pass, and the ball finding its way to Reed. And you know what didn't happen? Apart from Federico Chiesa, who was the sole man out there trying to get across, none of the defenders ran out to block Reed. All of them gave him 15 yards of space. And guess what happened next? Same that happened at Leeds United. We don't get a victory and we go away feeling deflated. But the excuses come out. The seemingly we tried our best nonsense comes out. Well, here's the truth, Virgil. Here's the truth, Arne. It wasn't good enough. It hasn't been good enough. And it needs to be resolved. Because we are dropping points that we should not be dropping. Drawing a home to Sunderland. Drawing home and away to Leeds in recent times. It just shouldn't be happening. Going life and death with Wolves, winning by 1 goal at home. And then again, getting a 95th minute winner and not being able to see out the remaining 2 minutes of stoppage time. Worldly or not, it's a pattern and it needs to be broken. So Fabrizio Romano has said this, breaking. Juventus make formal contact to show interest in Federico Chiesa over possible return in January. Decision up to Liverpool and the player, still early stages. Now look, Liverpool should move Chiesa on and they should bring in a replacement. If for no other reason than to give the manager somebody who he might actually want to play. I'd be happy for Chiesa to stay, and I dare say many others would. But The manager doesn't want to play him, so he's just taken up 7 million quid in wages, a squad place, and the manager isn't going to utilise him. 85th, 86th minute again yesterday by the time he came on. So let's see what does happen, but Liverpool best have a ready-made replacement there ready to come in. Somebody asked me in the comments, Craig, it's 5th of January, why no sign of Manchester City signing Semenyo yet? From my understanding, and again, of course, I'm not close to this deal at all, but my understanding is that Bournemouth wanted to get a couple of games out of the way, and the Arsenal one being one of them, before they did sell Antoine Semenyo, because obviously they wanted to try and get as many points as possible. Now, Sami Mokbel of the BBC has said, exclusive, Manchester City explore move for Crystal Palace captain Mark Guéhi for January. Follows injuries to Ruben Diaz and Josko Gvardiol. No final decision from City over formal approach, but interest has accelerated, and Liverpool and Bayern Munich also interested. He goes on to say, City and Liverpool are both interested in taking Guéhi on a free at the end of the season, but it is understood Palace would consider selling Mark Guéhi this month to avoid the scenario of losing him for nothing at the end of the season. And I'll come on to talk about the eye-watering price tag that they're asking for and why it makes Liverpool look, well, a little bit more foolish than we may already have done with the failure to get him in the summer. So Jamie Carragher, he's been outspoken on a lot of things lately, but he's been talking about the laziness of the defending from centre-backs in the Premier League, and in this instant, Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahim Konate. And as a centre-back, I think we should listen to what he has to say. He said, I'm sick of seeing it, not just with Liverpool, right throughout the Premier League. What centre-backs do in this situation, Jamie Carragher said. Remember Konate at Leeds? Twice, he didn't fill the space. The ball's in the centre. I've no problem with one striker and two centre-backs in the middle. As soon as the ball goes to one side, you have to shuffle across. It's lazy defending or it's tactical instruction. I don't like it. Konate has to come across, and Van Dijk then takes the position of Konate. You fill the space, and then this guy here, Harry Wilson, won't run into the space. I'm sick of seeing it all the time. Lazy defending from centre-backs, not just Liverpool, right throughout the Premier League. Harry Wilson does not make that run if Konate comes across and Van Dijk's across. Whether that's come tactically from the manager, or they just want to sit in their armchairs in the middle of the pitch and let midfield players do their running for them. I have been saying this to you guys for such a long time. It is lazy defending. It is an unwillingness to shift across, to go out and close things down. And it is just aura defending, if you want to call it that. But that aura isn't there anymore. The hard yards need to be done. And like Cara said, you and I don't know whether this is an instruction from the manager or it's just lazy defending. But either way, the manager is letting the lazy defending happen. And again, that is a reiteration for me that he just shouldn't be in the job. You might start to feel like, Craig, you may have an agenda against the manager. And for the first time, I'm going to sit here and say, you know what? I'm going to actually say I probably do now have an agenda against the manager, because I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of his failures. I'm fed up of his excuses. And I'm fed up of the heartache suffered by so many Liverpool fans week in and week out as they see their joy ripped away with lazy defending, with the inability to see out 2-goal leads, and the frustration at seeing a group of players underperforming from the mighty talent that they do have. So if that means I have an agenda, then you have at it in the comments. But right now, it isn't good enough. He isn't good enough, and we need to act. So finally, Ben Jacobs said, I'm told that at the moment it's early January. There may be an element of grandstanding, but I'm told Crystal Palace want more, not less, than the 35 million they agreed with Liverpool in the summer if they're to sanction a mid-season sale for Mark Guéhi. So the way Liverpool have to look at this now is, do they go in to try and pay the money to get him now? Do they wait till the summer and see what else happens? Because remember, now Manchester City have injuries to their defenders. They could come in to try to gazump Liverpool, put money down and sign the player. My understanding, Cave's understanding, and I think Lewis Steele's understanding, and a few others, is that there's a gentleman's agreement between Liverpool and Mark Guéhi. But if Crystal Palace decide they want to cash in and other clubs are willing to spend, as I said, anything can happen in football. So now it is over to our board. It is over to them to decide what they want to do. But make no mistake about it, if we don't bring in a centre-back in this window, expect nothing for the remainder of the season other than injuries to come, excuses to mount up, and your frustration to be multiplied. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. That isn't pretty. It isn't what I want to be sitting here saying, but I refuse to sit here and lie about the situation that we're in. It isn't good enough. John Aldridge has been speaking on his column as well, and he's had a little bit to say. I'll get to that later on this evening. Anfield sector have posted quotes from Romano saying Federico Chiesa would be open to a return to Juventus this month, but a deal depends on Liverpool. The conditions of the deal would be key. Also, Chiesa keen on the loan. Liverpool are not open to this option. If they were to part ways, they'd only do so on a permanent basis, according to DiMarzio. So that's where we're at with Fede. That's where we're at with Liverpool. Still no sign of any potential incomings coming through the door. Again, Arsenal coming up on Thursday, a very difficult game. The preview for that will be coming out a little bit later on in the week. But until then, I hope to see you back here tonight at 8:45 for the late night agenda. I'll have a late transfer news roundup as well. And as always, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. We'll see you soon. Much love.